One of the things we find, I guess the reason Linktree exists is that they created basically a website in the form of your phone, like that 16 by point colon 9 shape, so that it's actually elongated. And that's honestly the only difference that they did. And if you knew how to create those links on a page, you could put as many pages as you want. And what you're doing is you're sending people to that one link. And when they get there, they see everything you have. So if you just only have one website, then all you got to do is put your website link in there.
Welcome to the Charcuterie Launch Lab podcast, where passion meets profit. If you've ever dreamed of turning your love for charcuterie, or food of any kind, into a thriving online business, well then you're in the right place. We're Andrea and Patty, the Grazing Biz Sisters. With over 60 years combined experience as a chef and digital marketer, we have walked in your shoes starting our own online businesses. We'll share all of our tips, advice, struggles, and best strategies to help you launch and grow your own online foodie business with ease. The Charcuterie Launch Lab is a space for all food creators and entrepreneurs just like you. Let's dive in and get your yummy business launched online, one board at a time.
Hey, it's your friends Patty and Andrew here. We're back with the Charcuterie Launch Lab podcast. It always takes me a minute to say it because it's such a mouthful and I want to make sure I'm not saying it backwards. I
Yeah,
don't like
does it
this
feel like one of those tongue twister kind of things?
Yeah, it kind of is. Well, you know me, I'm already saying it wrong as it is, so I'm trying to make sure I don't say it wrong.
Yeah. And the funny thing is I hear people all the time, so I'm always watching different podcasts or different videos on TikTok or whatever. When they say charcuterie, it's like nails on a chalkboard
I
for
know.
me. It
I
just
know.
is. I just can't help it.
Well, it's not, you didn't need to be scratching my eyeballs out because I'm doing, your own sister's doing it wrong, so that's not good.
It just drives me nuts.
Sorry. Okay, well, anyway, today we thought we would focus a little bit on social media. So I've spent the last 3 or 4 weeks doing a bunch of lessons I've been recording for our course that we offer. By the way, we have a webinar coming up in case anyone is hearing this before, our next webinars. We have 2 actually on February 8th and 9th. So if you're interested at all, but I've been doing recordings for the course that we offer. But anyway, the webinar is this weekend coming up. And so that is on February 8th and 9th. So if you're interested, you can go check it out and sign up. It's free, an hour of Charcuterie Business Bootcamp. You might want to check it out at grazingbiz.com/bootcamp live. Bootcamp live. Okay, so go check that out if you're interested. But I've been doing a bunch of recordings and I've been kind of talking about social media. And as I was recording, I was like, this is so important. So I thought today we really need to focus on, because social media can get us free business, right? I mean, Andrew, fill me in on what you've been doing to get action.
It's literally the only way to get business. I
Free.
mean, I don't,
Okay.
like advertising in newspapers and things, that just doesn't even pointless. I know that people still try to do radio ads and things, but I don't know about other people, but I don't listen to the radio unless I happen to be in my car. It's a, necessary evil in our world, but it is the only way to get your name out there.
Okay, well, let's talk about
that's my personal feeling.
Well, no, I mean, you definitely need to be on it, whether it's organic, which is unpaid, or you're paying for it one way or the other. It starts on social, on the internet, right? So let's talk about the various different platforms that might make sense for somebody who's got a local charcuterie business to be on, because that's kind of different than trying to promote something across the country to people, but because you're local. So let's talk a little bit about what do you think is the best platforms for people to be on for local?
Facebook is, as much as I use it mostly for friends and family, and that's how it started. When you have your own Facebook page and you join the local groups, that's how I get most of my business when I'm, here, because that's where people are looking. And you can run ads, but I don't have to. So I just put I put my posts out there and say, hey, I'm here. I have openings, and here's my website, and you direct everybody over there, and those are coming. I'm sure most people listening to us belong to their local Facebook, because that's where you're getting your 911s and your emergencies and things going on in your neighborhood, and that kind of thing. So
Like your
that's
bullet,
where
like
it's at.
where I live, they've got like a what they call a bulletin, but it's like a
Right.
bulletin, but they also have obviously a local community page. I've also found that you can join groups that are specific to like food related, like restaurant
Mhm.
review type pages, which I think is really, really important, because you can go in there and a lot of times they'll just let you post. And if you know
Right.
somebody else that could go in and post in that group for you, that will say, hey, does anybody know of a local charcuterie business? Then you can be in there and kind of back up and pipe in. So, I mean, you can load these things up. You just have to be careful when you're in those groups, because some of the groups will have, rules on not being able to post your links. But,
Right.
like a group like that, usually though, people are in there telling other people about how great, these other or food is, restaurants and
Right.
local. Another thing I see is like locally, there's a group local where it's called, Scottsdale Living. He's a real estate agent, but he does a great job not making about real estate. And as a result, everybody's in there going, where can I go to get this? And I want this, or I'm looking for a doctor, or I want to find the best Mexican restaurant, and blah, blah, blah. Who has the best sandwiches? There's nothing stopping you from going in a lot of those groups and kind of enticing people. So you just have to be careful not to go in and just say, start advertising. It's
Yeah.
easier to come in and comment on people's posts. So be in there and make sure that, you're showing up pretty much.
Hmm. Yeah, being
Um,
casual about it, responding to people's posts when they're looking for a caterer,
yeah,
or, a lot of times they'll just flat out say, I'm looking for a good charcuterie board
yeah,
place. Tell me
right.
where to go. And you chime in, and
And
you
I
do have to
also,
all of
right.
that stuff. So,
Facebook is good for all that, but what about like Instagram? My feeling is you should go where you know your people are. The
mhm.
problem is that if you haven't been on any of these, you don't really know. So I got to say, you got to get on it. But so Instagram, we're going to talk about tagging here in a minute, but Instagram is one of those that I think you can really target more locally, right? So when you're tagging, which we'll get to, it can be a little bit more local where people can see you, as opposed to you posting something and the whole world sees it. You're really just trying to focus more local. Wouldn't that make
Mhm.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I challenge a little bit with Instagram, probably because there isn't groups, and groups are really where it's at, like with Facebook for me, anyways,
yeah.
because that's where most of the business comes from, is people, you know, like I said, those Prescott foodie boot groups, or whatever, the different foodie groups, restaurant groups. Those are really your best bet, but Instagram doesn't have that kind of situation, so you have to hashtag correctly.
Right. You got to know how to do
And
that, or it's
yeah,
kind of.
so that's the hashtag of whatever your town is.
But
And
I've,
make sure you're choosing the right town, because here's the mistake that I made one time. I live in Chino Valley, Arizona, but there's a Chino Valley, California. So one time I posted something trying to get business in Chino Valley, and it went to Chino Valley, California as well. So
mm,
just be careful if there's multiple, so eventually I figured out I got to put Chino Valley AZ on it, or whatever the hashtag pops up when you put a hashtag in and you get all the different options. Make sure you're scrolling and getting the right town,
that you're in the
because
right town. That's a good point. So,
yeah, I made that mistake
so the
once.
tags are, because I haven't actually tabbed locally, because most of the work I do is for everywhere in the world. But so there is a tag for the actual city and state. Is that what you're saying? It's combat.
Yeah, so
It's
when you do, and it's not in Instagram, it's a hashtag. So you're going to put in your hashtag, and when you put it in, it will give you all the different options and the number of people who might have used it, so you can see if it's a relative hashtag. You
mhm.
don't necessarily want to make up your own hashtag, because then no one's going to find it. You really are best off using one that people have already used.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah.
it'll
Don't want
usually
to make
tell you
them
how
up.
many people, yeah, it'll usually tell you how many people are have used it. So you
Yeah.
can see that it's a relatively good one. So because I have like the option of Chino Valley, Arizona spelled out, or I
Mhm.
have Chino Valley AZ, which I use both.
Okay.
So because they're both good
Yeah.
ones. But you don't want to just, in my case, use just Chino Valley because then they go to California as well, and then everybody gets
Right.
confused.
Well, and I would also say don't like your town isn't very big, so you would also
Right.
want to do Prescott and the other towns that are close by that you're willing to work.
Correct.
So that's really key. Speaking of the local areas, one of the things we don't think about as social is Google. Google my business, basically, Google business. And so I can't impress enough how important it is that you go to Google Business Workspace, basically, and you can get yourself set up with a Google profile because you want people to run a search. If you go in and look right now and go on Google and look and run a search for charcuterie, you're going to see one of the first searches that are going to prompt up. You know how after a bunch of people run searches, it's just going to give you kind of like, oh, the most popular search results.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the very popular ones is charcuterie near me. Now, that's if somebody clicks on that, and they do, because that's one of the most, that kind of thing is one of the most popular things that people search for when they're looking, especially for food. They're going to find you. Well, how will they find you if you don't have it set up? So that's what it's pulling it up. You ever see it when the map shows up and now you can see all of them around that are close to you? If you're looking for, say, an air conditioner fixer or something along those, somebody come and fix your air conditioner, it's always going to show people that have already got this set up on where they are on the map. So, but and if you're working from home, this is where it gets a little challenging because you don't want everybody to know where your house is. So there is steps to take in making sure that you can set up something that may not necessarily be your house if that's where you're working. However, you might have no choice. Every state, I understand, and county even can be a little bit different on whether or not it will work so that you can actually not tell them your actual address. You tell them the address, but they don't show it because you add yourself in as a service instead of like a physical location. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But the point I'm making is Google is yet another social platform that I don't think a lot of us think about. And that is honestly, who owns Google? I mean, Google, who owns this stuff?
Yeah.
Google, So I think it's really, really key. What about Pinterest for a local? Well, I mean, do you think it's going to get much if you're on Pinterest for local?
I don't see that mostly because that's, maybe, but I wouldn't put a lot of effort into
Yeah, I
it
wouldn't either. I don't
personally.
think. Yeah.
I just don't use Pinterest as a source of information, but not necessarily for promoting your business because
Business like
even when you put in, your local, actually, I don't know if I've ever really tried to do that,
Well,
where you put in like your local, like let's say just put in your town or something.
yeah, it's
I've never done
possible.
a search on that, so I don't know what would happen, but it's certainly not the place I think where people are going to look for their charcuterie
Right. I think the key there
local
is
business.
is to go back and think about when people go to Google to run a search, they're running, something related to that type of business. If Pinterest, LinkedIn, Google are search engines, right? So is Etsy and so is Amazon.
Everything
They're
is.
search
Everything.
engines, right? So if you go in and you post on Pinterest about your local business, it's not going to hurt you. If anything, it'll help you move up the ranks of the Google pages. So because you're showing up in Pinterest, and Pinterest is a popular search engine. So I bring this up because I think LinkedIn is the same way. You don't think about LinkedIn as a place to sell your charcuterie boards because it's more like what we think of, corporate business. But the reality is LinkedIn is one of the top search engines out there. So even if they're not going on LinkedIn to look for charcuterie businesses, they see it in the search results when they go to Google. And so then they're going to click, right? Before I move on to my next subject, because I think it's really important, what about TikTok for local? What do you think of
So
that?
TikTok can still be very local. Again, you're
Yeah.
not it's not a situation for like Facebook where you can go into a group, but you can tag your local towns. Again, be careful and pick the right town. Don't
Yeah.
pick the wrong ones. But that might be in Florida or something, but
Yeah. Orange
you want to
County.
pick the right ones. And when you tag the right ones, I get a ton of people. Like there's some charcuterie places down in Phoenix that come across my feed and my For You page because it knows I live in Arizona.
Right.
It knows I look at charcuterie. It knows I sell it. It knows all these things.
Yeah.
The TikTok algorithm,
Yeah.
folks, is never going away. I don't care what anyone says. And if anything happens, it's going to get purchased by someone who's smart enough to do it or maybe share the cost of it.
Well,
But
recently, I think there's some
the
connection.
algorithm is insane. It's insane. And it does a great job at picking and choosing what it thinks you're going to look at.
Right.
And
Well,
it doesn't like inundate you with it, kind of like Facebook does. When you search for something on Google or you talk about it and then your phone hears it and then all of a sudden you get 5 million of the ads coming through on Facebook. TikTok really doesn't do that. They do it, but in a very subtle way. And so with that said, again, you've got the hashtag situation going on. And with TikTok, you're also relying a lot on keywords. So, and they let you go into your creator insights. Again, this is a whole nother realm of things that we could talk about, but TikTok has its own sort of way of finding the right places to put your stuff, and you have to learn all of that.
Yeah. Well, clearly you had success on TikTok, and so I think that's pretty cool. But you can't put food in the TikTok shop. It's got to be or can you?
Like by ordering?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that
you mean in TikTok shop?
In the TikTok shop has to be products.
Like there's products.
Yeah, you can, and there's strict rules on what they're allowing
very,
you to
very
sell.
strict, but that doesn't mean that if you have a business account or if you have enough, followers, you can add a link in your profile and that link can drive to your business, which brings us to Linktree.
Yeah, that brings us to our next point. So we are going to now one of the most important things I think about having any social media platforms up is getting your profile set up. And so I think, Andrea just mentioned Linktree, and Linktree is basically a landing page that has links on it because like, for instance, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is a little different, but Instagram and TikTok, they only give you an option to put, and I think LinkedIn's the same way, to put one link on anywhere like in your profile. You can't go in there and list out all the things out. Facebook's different, but you can't on these other platforms.
Yeah, you used to in Instagram. So this is how I got set up with Linktree ages ago when I first started, setting up my business. Instagram only allowed one link. And so that's where I came up with did research and looked at other people were doing Linktree. So therefore you could link to your Facebook page, you could link to a million other things. At that time, Instagram was not owned by Facebook. So anyway, I'm going backwards a little bit, but TikTok does now allow you, when you click on your little profile and there's, your links, you can have I think it's 5 or 6 separate links now within
But don't you have to have a business account to do that?
You have to have a business account in order to make that work.
Right.
Yep. And then with the business account, you have to jump through. It amazes me. They think that it's so crazy. TikTok for me was the hardest one to get through and jump through the hoops and set everything up. They want you legal in every way, shape, or form. You cannot open a business account in there unless you are. So there you go.
Yeah. That's different than Facebook because they don't care.
Well, nobody cares.
Well, they do if you're going to run ads, but I mean, you could set up a business page without it. Yeah,
but they could care less. They're letting everybody and their brother set up on there. No offense to Facebook. They've brought me a lot of business, so I'm not complaining. But you do have to, watch yourself. There's so many scammers on Facebook. It's frightening.
Right.
But TikTok now allows more than one link if you're a business owner and you've proved it and you've done all the things. They also, I think you have to have 10,000 followers if you have a personal account. If you decide not to go the route of setting up the whole business account thing, after 10,000 followers, I think they let you have that same thing.
You can do it.
But with that said, then you want to do what you're about to talk about, which is set up a one what do you call it? Like
Right.
profile
Yeah,
link.
your profile. So
You get to
you need,
everything.
yeah, you definitely want to have somewhere for people to go, obviously, to find out what you offer. So in your case, most people are going to have a website, one website, and then that's ideally where you're going to send them that hub where everything that you sell is there. And so you can send them straight to your website. One of the things we find, I guess the reason Linktree exists is that they created basically a website in the form of your phone, like that 16 by point colon 9 shape, so that it's actually elongated. And that's honestly the only difference that they did. And if you knew how to create those links on a page, you could put as many pages as you want. And what you're doing is you're sending people to that one link. And when they get there, they see everything you have. So if you just only have one website, then all you got to do is put your website link in there. But if you've got a lot of things you offer, in my case, I do a lot. I'm kind of like the garbage man of, I do everything. So I have a lot of different links, but in most cases, I think for this business, the charcuterie website is probably enough. But like in Andrew's case, she sells other things outside of food. So she needs a couple of other links for different things, right? So, but that's an option. But you don't have to go spend extra money on Linktree, because the reality is if you have a website, that's probably where you're going to send them. But there's other ways to do this without actually spending money on Linktree, which, if you come in and have us help you, I show you how to do this, because you can actually set up a Linktree type style landing page type thing that can have as many links on it as you want. But you just have to be prepared. I think that's the key. The other thing that I find is that people don't do a very good job on their profile as far as telling people that you have a business. Obviously, you need to have business pages. You can do it on your personal, but if you really want this to be, legit, and to be able to eventually post using social media tools, you're going to need to have a business page to do it, because you cannot do it within groups. If you have a third-party tool that comes to help you post in a bunch of places at once, which we'll talk about here in a minute, you got to have a business page to do that.
Are you talking about like with Facebook specifically?
Any.
Any
If you're using a third-party tool that can post in, like, say you make one post, we can jump to that. You make one post, it can post to 10 places at once, but they won't post to your personal pages per se. They need to be posted to business pages, some of these tools. So you have to be making sure that you have one. And then if you're worried no one's going to see you on a business page, you then can go in and repost it or share it to your personal page so that everyone can see it. So because you have more followers, right, that way. But our goal really is that they need to go, if somebody is really interested and they want to see what you're offering, or maybe it's just people you need to suit that your personal page up and your business pages. Because when people go to your personal page, they're looking for why, who is this person? Why should I even be interested? And all they're seeing is pictures of your cats, cat lady Andrea. That's really not, they want to see, are you legit? So I do a whole thing on this in our course, and I talk about it as well during our free webinar. So I think it's important that, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, course, the Charcuterie Launch Lab is actually our course. It is live, and if you're interested at all, just go to grazingbiz.com /launch, and you can check it out. If you want to go straight to it, or if you're not sure and you want to just see what's happening with us, then come to that webinar that we have coming up. Again, that's grazingbiz.com /bootcamp live. Okay, so I know we'll put all these in the show notes if you're interested. But our bottom line is just making sure that if you're really going to do this right, you need to start showing people that you are a business. So get yourself set up to look like a business. So while we're on that, now we're going to do some posting. What kind of posts should we put out there? What do I know what you do, and I love it. You're doing videos of how to cut up and make, to make the charcuterie. So that to me makes most sense to show people what you do. How cool is that?
Yeah, physically showing people. as we know, I don't like to be in front of the camera. So
Personally.
I do faceless videos
Smile,
with
Andrea.
just my hands. I know. I have to smile more. I do faceless videos with just my hands, cooking and cutting and slicing and doing whatever it is I'm doing. But I don't, but then I'll also do, posts with just the picture carousels of just the pictures of whatever the end results are. So
Mhm.
it just depends, I don't think there's any really right way. A lot of it is just testing your audience and your people to see, what they're looking at. And when you do
Well,
have and when you have a professional, a Facebook page or Facebook whatever or TikTok business, if it's business, you're always going to get those stats. So you'll be able to see who's looking and who's interested and what time they do it and all
right. Well,
that
I'm going to go
jazz.
back to what you're actually posting. And I think your photographs, because to
Yeah,
me, it's art, right? So I think there's no excuse for not taking photos at every event that you ever
everything.
attend.
I
Anything you create,
yeah,
it needs
anything
photos.
and everything.
Yeah, behind the scenes videos, right, of what you're
Hmm.
doing, like Andrew was saying, assembly boards. I've seen a lot of those time lapsed, like they're out there setting up tables, which I think's
Hmm.
amazing because that immediately shows at the whole world this is what you do. And if you
Yeah,
can do that, set your camera up, and then you can, if you can't do it
just let
yourself,
it go.
yeah,
Yeah.
hire Fiverr, Fiverr, to help you edit these things because once you do a few of those, people are going to be all over that. It's so fun. I'm obsessed watching those time lapse things. I love that.
Hmm.
That's, it doesn't matter what you're making. It's always fun to watch that. What about like before and after shots where you have an empty board and then then you make, it would be that easy just to take one at the beginning of an empty board and then just
Yeah.
take a few photos and then just
In
patch them
between.
together,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. What about close-up shots? Like, something like of just something on your board in general that you've
Yeah,
done,
I
like
mean,
those
I love the
flowers that you make out
personally,
of,
I like the close-up shots. I just feel like to me they're more appealing because it just makes you want to eat it,
yeah,
So
right.
that's how you get people's attention. They stop scrolling to see
Hmm.
what's happening.
And you could even do like how-to videos if you wanted to show people how to, do certain things just about setting up a board. And you could even
Yeah.
just, you don't need to be in
The
in the with
possibilities are really endless too. So
so yeah, the how-to videos and just trying to figure out showing people how you make things, I think is really good. What about step-by-step type videos on how to do something too? I don't think is a bad idea. So we got a lot of things. So okay, now that we've done that, how long should a video be? How long are yours?
Hey, 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 Charcuterie Launch Lab listeners. I've got some exciting news for you that you do not want to miss. We're launching the free webinar bootcamp that we're calling the Charcuterie Business Bootcamp. Turn your charcuterie passion into profits in less than 2 weeks. Whether you're just starting out or looking to scale your charcuterie business, this bootcamp is packed with actionable strategies to help you monetize your passion quickly and effectively. In this webinar bootcamp, you'll learn the important things to consider when starting your business. We'll both be here to teach you everything from what you need to know about licensing, health certification and insurance, to creating your menus, pricing for profits and branding, to how and where to create your online presence with an easy-to-build website, automatically taking orders, and growing it through innovative marketing with or without ads. Spaces are limited, so don't wait. Head on over to grazingbiz.com/bootcamp. That is grazingbiz.com/bootcamp to reserve your spot today. Transform your love for charcuterie into a thriving online business. The bootcamp is free, so sign up today. We can't wait to see you there.
well, I try to keep them 30 seconds to a minute.
Mhm.
Uh, I do recipe videos too, and those usually will run longer. But the reality is you can only do 1 minute videos on Facebook and I can't remember what Instagram, I haven't done Instagram videos in a while because I'm better. I get more traction with just still videos on Instagram. That's my group. That's what they do. You have to test the waters with everything. And then TikTok will let you go forever. So it just depends on, you know, but people have a very short span of attention now.
Yeah.
So 30 seconds, shoot for 30 seconds, which amazingly is a really long time.
Yeah.
It's a very long time.
So that just brings up a good point what you said, because if you're going to do a reel, and it depends on where you're posting on Facebook, for instance, they've got reels, they have stories, they have just the Facebook feed. You can make a video as long as you want if you're going to put it in the feed. But like the reels, I think are kind of maxed out at like a minute. And I think that's almost the same. I think they did go up for 90 seconds or something like that. I know YouTube, because that's a whole nother side of this. So we just have to think about YouTube too, but I think YouTube's pretty cool if people, again, that's one of those search engine things that not everyone's going to go to YouTube looking for a charcuterie business, but if it shows up because they're looking for charcuterie in your neck of the woods. And I keep going back to the fact that if I lived in a really small town, really small, I would just take over. But I'm in a huge metropolitan area, so it makes it a little more challenging. So, but yeah, really something great to consider, doing the videos. Now, what about lighting? I know you are always working with the food, with, your lights. What do you do for lighting?
So I try to schedule my time around the sun coming in the windows. I get the best lighting with real sunlight. And but I do have the ring lights and all that jazz, and sometimes I kind of have to, not face them on the food or not face them directly on anything, because you'll get that weird ring look. The ring will show up.
What about
Like it'll
shadows?
reflect. Yeah, it'll reflect off like the cutting board even. It's really weird how that works out. So I try to rely on sunlight and indirect sunlight. So I'll take a cutting board and kind of put it here and put it there, and it depends. But my kitchen, I have one specific spot in my kitchen that works best. And once you figure that out, and after you take a few pictures and they're successful, that's everything is about testing those waters. And I move things around my kitchen so many times trying to figure it out. And now I've got it down to, I have to wait until, certain time of day at the certain time of year, depending, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I have to wait to take that picture. And that's fine, so I'm just careful about it.
Right.
And the ring lights do work really well, but you got to be careful to, move them around so they're not shooting right on it, because it can be really bright. And then you spend too much time editing to try and get that with it takes forever. So
well,
if you do take a bad picture, with that said, if you do take a bad picture and let's say it's too bright or it's too dark or it's too something, you can go in and edit it. It's just another step though. You can always fix it.
Yeah, if you know how. That'd be the thing. So outside of photographs, though, there's other posts you could do. For instance, like maybe you just put a poll out there to say, what do you like better? What kind of cheese do you like better? What kind of meats do you like best? Just some sort of engagement type things like that to get people talking to you through your posts. One thing I know is there is software out here, and I have this, that if you could say something about, if you're interested in learning more about the kind of cheeses that will pair best with certain kind of sausage or whatever, or salami or whatever, you could say comment cheese and get people talking to you, because you'll move up the algorithms and within these socials platforms by getting people talking to you. So I love the idea of trying to encourage people to talk back to you. And our system actually will automatically respond back to those kind of posts automatically when you get it, if you set it up. So how cool would that be if you could do that, right? And then now you're talking and you're getting a conversation going, getting people interested. Or maybe you're having a special, right? You're offered something this week, or we have a new holiday coming up. We have 2 holidays coming up. And in my book, Super Bowl's a holiday. We have holiday, we have Valentine's, right? So how cool would it be to, start promoting that, just promotions, but you don't want everything you're posting to be a promotion. because people will get tired and bored of that. And they'll probably unfollow you if all you're trying to do is sell all the time. So you want a mixture of promotional versus educational versus just showing a picture of something. Maybe you just standing there in front of, one of your works of art, doesn't even need to be that, or even just like I said, a photo of what you just produced. So I think there's a lot of options for you to engage with your audience and keep people interested in what you do, don't you think?
Yeah, I love the quiz style thing, or like if you're asking somebody, that generates a lot of people, because people just, they want to have an opinion about everything, and they want to give their, whatever their intelligence about a subject is. They all
Yeah,
want to be up in everybody's business. So with that said, if you choose the right comment or the right question or whatever you want to call it, people are all over it. I've never
yeah,
tried to use a poll. I will
yeah.
say that.
They're
So,
fun in there. You can easily do that, but you don't even have to use the poll that the system gives you if they provide it. You can just simply put it on an image through Canva. Like you can
yeah.
go on Canva and create something and ask the question on an image or a GIF,
Gift.
and have it moving so people see it, right? I love the movement that you can create out of Canva if you use a GIF or a little video. Um, how cool that catches the eye as you're going by, and especially if you've got a board in the background and you could ask a quick question about what's your favorite cracker. I mean, how simple is that? Just get people
Mhm.
talking back to you, right? So let's go back to the hashtags really quick. And there are now hashtags. What do they do? I mean, we mentioned it like we knew everybody what they do, but the
Right.
hashtags are, what do they do?
They tell the algorithm of whatever you're using, whatever
Platform.
platform you're using, who you want to be in front of.
Mhm.
So the hashtag could be as simple as, foodies. I used foodies in the beginning. I used foodies all the time. And that was when I was doing something else entirely, and I was getting in front of the right people. So, now obviously there's a bazillion charcuterie people trying to use charcuterie. So you want to kind of narrow that down. Like I said, try to get it down to your town.
Right,
Try to get it down to the people in your neighborhood,
right.
the best you can. Like here, there are the Prescott Foodies is an actual hashtag.
Yeah.
So mess around with it.
Yeah.
Find
And
the
I
ones that
think
work for
people
you.
run searches on those hashtags because you can
Mhm.
go somewhere in the platform, right, and look up the hashtags that are popular, and you can actually see how many people are using that hashtag. So
Right.
when you show up with that then you become part of it. But some of those that are so broad industry ones, like if you just put charcuterie and that's all you put, that's not going to get you what you're looking for. You want local, right? But I'm saying not, I'm saying do it, but also make sure that you add in something more local to you. So here's some examples. I did make a little list here. So I would say, and you're going to do like the hashtag, which is like a pound sign for anybody who hasn't done this, right?
Mhm.
Hashtag charcuterie board, hashtag cheese lover, hashtag foodie, which you use, a hashtag grazing table, hashtag charcuterie lover, something along those lines. Also, if you're going to focus on certain types of events, you could do hashtag charcuterie for parties, charcuterie for weddings, charcuterie, so you got that part of it. Now, you don't have to put a zillion on there, do you? I mean, how many do you really need? Maybe four or
No, I
five.
mean, no, not initially. I understood that you want to stay below 10, no more than 13,
Okay.
because not that I don't, it all depends. But usually, overwhelming it is just going to confuse the algorithm. So
Yeah.
keeping it simple, hashtag charcuterie board, hashtag Super Bowl, hashtag your town and your
Yeah.
state.
So, for instance, you could do NYC charcuterie or Los
Hmm.
Angeles grazing tables, something like that,
Hmm.
or Arizona foodie, Scottsdale eats, So now you're kind of anybody might be looking for to get food in the area, right? So I think you'll end up finding you'll find your niche when it comes to creating these and tagging yourself, because as people are starting to see you and people are starting to respond back to you, hey, I just saw you on Instagram as a result of something you did. So it's a test. It's kind of, testing them out, like you said earlier, is just see what's gonna work best to drive more business to you. But this is such an easy way, I think, to get people to find you without actually having to go spend money. I'm not saying not to, but and that's a whole discussion for a different training, or a different podcast, because I'm training, I'm coaching, I'm all doing for a different podcast. But I think no, to get you off the ground, just start posting pictures of what you're doing and videos of what you're doing, and then make sure you're tagging something about where you're at locally, because I think that's going to be huge for you, right? It's going to be huge for you. Well, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to chat about in general today about social, but do you have anything else that we might have missed? I don't know. I think we've already
No,
gone.
I'm sure there is, and we'll have
so
to,
much.
I think this particular subject could be, an ongoing podcast.
Yeah.
So
Could
this
be.
could be just unit 1 of 20.
Yeah, I'd have to laugh too, because
it changes. So what we're saying now, a year from now, may be completely and utterly irrelevant, which totally sucks.
right.
But
And
you gotta
so
stay with the program.
seriously, and I would say if you want some helpful tips, go to ChatGPT if you haven't started doing AI, and just start running some searches in there and ask it for, give me some hashtags that might be a good idea, or even just post ideas. You can create a whole big thing. I actually have a prompt that we give to our course people that I created to give you 30 days of content. And then in our system, we have a built-in platform that will actually post for you. So you get them all set up in here, and it will just post automatically once you get them set up. We provide all the content for that. So again, if you're at all interested in the show notes, we're giving you the links to go to the webinar that we have coming up, or if you just want to cut right through it and head on in and get on in here and get help, get your business online right away. We are up and running. I am so excited. We have seven modules that both Andrew and I have recorded over getting your business online and up and running, and as soon as you can. So we provide you all the templates and everything you need. So definitely check that out, because we're here to help you. If you've got your business up and running, that's magnificent. If you want to soup it up, or maybe you want to just start really getting it going online, and you haven't quite done that yet because it's all been word of mouth, but you're ready to do this, this is the place to be. So check it out in the notes. Anyway, but yay, we talked about social for a couple of old biddies. I don't think we're doing too bad.
Speak for yourself. No, I know I'm pushing 62, so it sucks, but it is what it is, and I'm glad that I haven't given up, and I don't want anyone else to give up. If you have a dream, please do it. I mean, my God. The one thing I wanted to add to whatever you just said, one of the best things about the software that we have, which you can find other places, and certainly you can pay for it and pay for all those things separately, but the content creator and the calendar, and it's sending everything out to all the different places you want it to go simultaneously or not. I'll tell you what, that has been the biggest time saver. Because social media is one of the toughest things you're going to deal with in this business, in any business, really.
Well, it is, especially if you're not used to it. But for me, I personally hate having to do things on my phone. I'm 100 a minute in the day. I'm not as good as I used to be, but 100 words a minute on my keyboard, and nothing frustrates me more than having to do everything through my phone, through Instagram. Instagram's notorious for that. So if all you got to do is hook up your favorite socials, and then you just say, this post is going to go on these different social platforms, and they don't all need to go on every single time. You choose which one you want to put it on, and then boom, it's done and it posts. And you can schedule the entire month, or you can schedule out the whole stinking year if you got time to set it up. But It's the only way to go if you're really going to do this right, because you're too busy out running around doing everything else you're doing for your business. And if you're trying to do this alone, or even just get some help from people, they can just get in and do this, help you do this fast and easy inside of here. So anyway, check it out. Either way, we need you and we want you to get online, because you need to do that socially. And as much as it's painful, my idea of retirement is to get off of being online, but I'm a long ways from that. Yeah. So, all right, Andrea, that's it for the Charcuterie Launch Lab podcast today. It was good to see you, sister. You've been
Thanks,
sick
everybody.
this week.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see y'all later. See you next time.